Welcome to How to Submit Non-Animal 4-H Projects for Evaluation and Display at the Boonville and the State Fair. My name is Lynette S.K. I'm a 4-H educator here in Oneida County. Let me first take a moment and explain what I mean by non-animal. If you're hoping that this presentation will explain to you how to enter your cows, horses, pigs, sheep, goats into the Boonville Fair, this is not the presentation you're looking for. This is for non-animal projects. If you want to submit a poster of your animal into the youth building, then this is what you need to pay attention to. But this has nothing to do at all with live animals. So we know we're not talking about live animals here, but what are we going to be talking about? We're going to be talking about the requirements to enter projects into the fair. We're going to discuss how to select those projects and what can be submitted. We're going to take a look at the fair book, how you read it, and where you would find specific projects. We're going to talk about logging your projects in online, what to expect the day of judging, how you pick up your projects, if things are selected to the state fair, how do you get them there, how do you log those in online, how do you pick them up, and finally we're going to talk a little bit about ribbons. Oneida County 4-H has some specific requirements to show at the Boonville Fair. First of all, you must be enrolled by May 1st. You must have done at least 6 hours of community service by July 1st of the current year. You must have logged those 6 hours into the online registration system under Faces of 4-H. You must have properly registered your projects by the deadline, and you must participate in the face-to-face judging. So why should you encourage your child to participate in fair judging? Submitting projects for review at the fairs allows your child to share their interest with fair patrons. Your child will gain confidence and take pride in having something of theirs on display. As an adult, we sometimes forget how exciting it is for the youth to display and earn a ribbon. Entering things in the fair is a way of encouraging and rewarding youth when they try something new or improve an existing skill. The fair is a great confidence booster. When you're submitting projects to the Boonville Fair, judging takes place at CCE Oneida. Your child will meet face-to-face with an evaluator who will encourage them to verbally explain their project. The State Fair is slightly different. Youth do not meet face-to-face with an evaluator. Instead, they will write about their project. The evaluator will score the project based on their written statement and review of the object. Instead of submitting every project your child has done, select the best projects your child has done. Almost anything can be turned into a 4-H project. Choose projects that your child can talk about. Can they answer questions about what they learned, where they found the idea, what they would do differently, why they used the resources they did, if this was part of a club project or did they do it independently, who helped them, and what research did they do to complete the project? What types of projects can you enter in the fair? You can find the fair book located on our website. This is a list of the most common categories along with the most common projects that people have submitted. Communications and expressive arts. This is where you would put posters, scrapbooks, and creative writing. Food and nutrition is for recipes, canned goods, and baked goods. Fine arts and crafts. This is for original design, no kits. For drawings, paintings, prints, sculpture, pottery, leather, and mosaics. Hobby crafts would include string art, felt, wood burning, basket making, and this is where kits are allowed. Wearable art is for knitting, crocheting, and tie-dyeing. Textiles and clothing, clothing and costumes. Home environment is for room accessories and furniture. Child development for toys, activities, a babysitting kit. Photography for web pages and photos. Horticulture is for vegetables, flowers, garden plants, and plant collections. Natural resources, they're looking for recycling projects, wildlife, and environmental education. Entomology, anything to do with insects. STEM for woodworking, electrical, rockets, Lego, and Connects. Renewable energy, things on climate change, solar or wind energy. Choose age-appropriate projects. Clover buds are between 5 and 7 years old. They do meet face-to-face with an evaluator. They are not scored. Instead, every clover bud earns a green ribbon. 4-H members ages 8 to 19 do meet face-to-face with an evaluator. Many of our evaluators assist us every year. They're familiar with the projects the youth submitted the year before. Therefore, it is very important that the projects show growth and a progression in skill level. Evaluating a project for appropriate skill level. Here are two examples of Cloverbud projects. First, we have a painted tongue depressors. We glued them together, put stickers in a string so they could be hung. This is a perfect Cloverbud project. Simple, quick, and easy. Another one is the faux stained glass with Sharpie markers in a CD case. You make a design on the inside of a CD case with Sharpie markers, color it in, and then you take some aluminum foil, crinkle it up, put behind it, and it looks like stained glass. So very, very simple projects. The kids can meet with the evaluators, they can explain what they did, what they learned. It's quick, it's simple, they're in, they're out before they even know that they've talked to anybody. Now let's take those same two projects and make them 4-H projects for preteens. It is still the same project that we did with the Cloverbuds, but instead our preteens have done more advanced coloring and are displaying it in a more professional way. If you take a look at the tongue depressors at the left, you'll see that each one has been elaborately designed and colored in with the Sharpie markers. But instead of just having a bundle of sticks laying on the table, we have grouped them together and framed them. That makes one large art piece. Please also note that we aren't evaluating each tongue depressor separately. If items go together, they should be judged as one item. Example, if you sewed pajama tops and bottoms, that equals one project because they go together. Our faux stained glass project at the left is also more advanced. The coloring is better, the design is more elaborate. The youth may have drawn it themselves or traced a pattern. They may have used paint pens in addition to the Sharpies, or they may have tried to do blending or shading. Again, it is a more advanced project. Now let's take those same two projects and make them 4-H projects for teenagers. Remember, as the youth get older, the projects should be more challenging. Make a step-by-step poster about how you did the faux stained glass project as a community service activity at a local youth fair or store where you taught over 30 kids how to make this simple project. Show examples and a step-by-step guide. This is now a community service project and you can make a poster about it. Or you can talk about how the tongue depressor art was a perfect project to put in a babysitting kit. Explain to the judges how you used this as a relaxing activity the last time you did babysitting. This could now be entered into child development. Now, I'm not trying to say that teenagers cannot do art projects. What I'm simply trying to explain here is how you can take a simple project and advance it up to the next level. For an example, a couple years ago I had a teenager enter in a project that they did where they took some of the Joann fabric donations and they made a vase and put some flowers in it. And that's fine, but when you're 16 years old, you should be able to do more than just put flowers in a vase that you glued some stickers to. What they didn't do when they explained at the fair was that they had done that with the residents at a Boonville nursing home. And again, if that child had taken the extra step to do the poster on the community service project, the project would have been more age appropriate. If you ever have any questions on this, you can feel free to give me a call. Let's pretend we're going to enter this painting as a project. Go to our website and locate the Boonville Fair book. When looking through the fair book, we've decided we're going to enter this under Fine Arts and Crafts. 95% of the projects entered in the fair will be in the Arts and Crafts section. Make sure you read the guidelines and any other information for any of the projects you're entering in the fair. Failure to follow the instructions can disqualify a project. So if you look at the left, I've highlighted some of the main points that we need to discuss. We see that it's for Fine Arts and Crafts section DB. There are general guidelines. Under every section of everything in the fair, there are general guidelines. You need to follow these guidelines. One of the things I've highlighted here is art objects must be in good condition and ready for display. This goes for anything that you're entering in the fair. The other thing that I want to make note of is that artwork is to be visibly signed, matted, and framed. Background should be filled in lightly on all artwork. So on our example, it's not signed, it's not framed, so in other words, it's not ready. But once you have all of that done, you'll be ready to move on to the next step. Again, remember, the failure to follow the instructions can disqualify a project. Displaying items. Please assist your child in selecting the best way to present or display their project. They have put a lot of work into these items. They should take pride in making sure they look their best. The humidity at the fair can take its toll on projects. Please make sure they can withstand the weather. Poster board warps. Use foam board instead. Glue sticks don't always work. Instead of submitting a poem on lined notebook paper, put it in a frame or make a card. Make it something special, make it stand out. If an item is to be hung, make sure the hanger is in the correct spot and that it is sturdy enough to support the piece. I can't tell you how many times I go to set things up at the fair and it's framed upside down or there's no hanger. And when I'm going through and trying to set up 250 things, it's very frustrating on my part when I have to figure out how to do it without taking it apart or hammering something into it that I don't want to touch your project. I don't know if you want me to do that. So again, make sure it is ready to be displayed. Small items like jewelry should be displayed in a nice box. Take a box, line it with nice tissue paper or a nice piece of fabric and display your piece that way. Small pieces, we want to group them together again, and if they're displayed nicely, they're easier for the public to see. Another thing to make note of is that photography may not be framed. It cannot be under glass. And if you don't read the guidelines, you're not going to know that. So again, you have to read the guidelines in the fair book. But your photography, I would suggest you mount it to a piece of foam core. It's easier, and then I can just put a binder clip at the top of it and we can hang it that way. So just remember, photography is not framed. Now let's talk about reading the fair book. Once you have selected your items, decided on what section you're going to enter into, you've made sure all the guidelines are met and the item is ready to be displayed, you need to review the fair book. And if you look at the left, you see a copy of the fair book. I've circled the section, which is DB, under Fine Arts and Crafts. Think of us as doing the deer painting again. We're entering that in the fair. So we've decided it's going to go in Fine Arts and Crafts. If you look down below, it says class number. I have number 1 circled, so it's section DB class 1. But oh, lo and behold, there's a subsection there. So if you look further, you have a choice, is it a drawing or a painting? So now we have, it's going to be class 1B. But again, there's another subsection. Is it a traditional painting on stretch canvas, or is it a non-traditional painting on something like bark, fungus, or rocks? It's on stretch canvas. Therefore, our section is going to be section DB. Our class is going to be 1B1. So make note of that, because when you go online to register, you're going to have to put in the section and the class. Why do I have to log in my projects online, and why is there a hard deadline? The information you provide online allows the staff to calculate and seek out the proper number of experienced volunteers needed the day of judging. So what does that mean? So after July 1st, the deadline is to enter things is July 1st. So after that, I can go online and I can determine how many projects are coming in the day of judging. If I find out that there's 100 projects for arts and crafts and there's only 2 projects for STEM, I know I need a lot more evaluators for arts and crafts than I need STEM. So I calculate my volunteers based on the information that you provide me. The other thing you need to know is that if you are not going to be able to bring a project and you enter it in, that can also throw my numbers off. If you go in and you say that you're going to bring 50 projects and you only end up bringing 2 or 3, then that means I've lined up a lot of volunteers to do some judging that they're not going to be able to do. And that's not a good use of volunteer time. So please enter only the projects that you think you are realistically going to be able to bring in for evaluation. The online system also helps us create a professional looking and easier to read exhibit card. In the past, the youth were required to complete the exhibitor cards and corresponding judge sheet by hand. Nobody liked to do this. On the registration line, it allows us to merge the information from the registration to the exhibit cards. Make sure you use the correct capitalization and spelling when you are completing the online registration. If you don't capitalize your name right or you spell it wrong, it's going to be listed on your paperwork that way. Prior to the event, we can organize folders with each 4-H youth's judging forms and corresponding exhibit card. In the past, this was done the day of the event and it caused many delays. If you think about this, the night of judging, if everybody were to come in and nobody had done any paperwork, everybody would be asking for this paperwork and this and I don't have this, and it would just be a big chaotic scene. But because you go online and organize it, I can have everything ready for you when you come in. The online registration also creates a spreadsheet that makes it easier to keep track of the 250 so projects and awards that are entered into the fair. This speeds up overall judging time and the number of staff and volunteers that are needed. I know it may seem like a pain. You may be entering 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 projects, and it can get kind of repetitive doing it online. But think of me, I have to go through all of them, all 250 projects that are usually submitted. I have to match cards to judging sheets, and I do all of that for you so that when you come in it is all ready for you. So again, doing things ahead of time and doing them properly saves everybody a bunch of time in the end. You're now ready to log your project in to the online registration system. Go to our website, click on the 4-H section, and follow down to the green clover where it says click here to register for events. Anytime you're registering for any events for 4-H, you're going to click on this green clover. You're going to look for where it says the current year's Boonville Fair 4-H exhibit registration, and you're going to start clicking and answering the following questions. I am a Clover Bud member. You're going to click yes or no. I am a 4-H member. 8 to 18 years of age, yes or no. You're going to put in your club name. If you do not have a club name and you are an independent member, please just type in independent. It's now going to ask you your first and last name. You're going to type that in using proper capitalization and make sure you spell your name correctly. It's also going to ask you for your address, city, state, and zip code. Then it's going to ask you how many years are in the project area. This is not how many years you have been in 4-H. It means how many years have you been sewing or painting or drawing or crocheting. It's going to ask you your age as of January the 1st of the current year. So on New Year's Day, how old were you? Finally, you're going to put in your section and class numbers, and if you remember back a few slides before, we decided that our art project of the deer painting was going to be put in section DB, and it was going to be class 1B1. Alright, all you're going to put in is DB and 1B1. Do not put in section DB class 1B1. You don't need to write in class and section, just put in the numbers or the letters. And then finally, it's going to ask you a description of the project, and this is where you have to give me more than it's a photography or it's a drawing or it's painting. You need to tell me what it is. So if it's a photo of a waterfall, type in photo of waterfall. If it's a drawing of a cow wearing a hat, put in cow wearing a hat. If it's a painting of a witch on a broom, do painting witch on a broom. This will help me identify your project if I need to find it quickly. Again, if I'm reviewing 250 projects and somebody comes in and says, oh, I need so-and-so's painting, it helps if I know what the painting is, and by you giving me the description, that helps me. A couple other things you need to know here is the deadline to register projects is July 1st. Projects must be online by July 1st because I start pulling things the day after. No late registrations will be accepted. If you try and register late, you throw everything off. I may have printed all my cards out, I may have everything ready to go, and it's not easy to go back in and add things at this late stage. So you need to register by July 1st. Also, don't wait till the last minute. I strongly suggest you get your registrations in at least a week before the deadline. That way, if there's a problem, we can address it ahead of time. If you wait till the last minute, I can't help you. The other thing you need to know is that we need an email address on the registration that you review and we can contact you through. If I have a question on your project or there's a problem, I will contact you through your email. What to expect the day of judging. When you arrive at CCE, you will be directed to a box that contains folders filed alphabetically by first name. Inside the folder, you will find judging forms and corresponding exhibit cards for each of the projects submitted. Match the paperwork to one project and have your child get in line for evaluation. So this is what I mean. If you look at the left, you're going to see we have Alexis Tennant's evaluation card, her exhibit card, and her judging form. At the top of the exhibit card we have Alexis's name, and again, this is why proper punctuation and spelling is important. And then if you scroll down the card, you'll see under exhibit description, it's highlighted with red, it says Dear Canvas Painting. So we're going to pretend that Alexis went online and registered her Dear Canvas Painting. I'm going to take the information from that and correspond it with a judging form, and you'll see that at the right. And under name it says Alexis Tennant Dear Canvas Painting. So in your folder you're going to match these two items together, the judging form and the exhibit card. You're going to take that along with the canvas painting and have your child stand in line. Okay, when it's your child's turn, they will be directed to an evaluator. The evaluator will ask them questions about their project, who, what, when, where, why, and how. And once the evaluator is done with your child, they should leave their project and the paperwork with the judge. They should go back in line if they have another projects, and if they don't have any more projects, then you're free to go home. So if you have more projects, you're going to go back, get your folder, match your paperwork to another project, go stand in line, and then we'll get you into the judging with an evaluator. The 4-H staff transports and sets up all the projects at the Boonville Fair, so you don't have to transport anything. You're going to bring the projects to judging at CCE, and we're going to take care of it from there. At the Boonville Fair, your items will be displayed. We'll put New York State Fair selections in one section, and then all other projects will go on tables around the youth building. When the fair is over, you can pick up your projects after 7 p.m. on the last night of the fair. If you can't pick up your projects, they will be taken back to the office where you may retrieve them 1 week after the fair is over. What if my project is selected for the state fair? Your project will be part of a special display showcasing all the projects selected for the state fair. When you pick up your projects from CCE or that night at the Boonville Fair, you will also receive a folder containing paperwork. The folder contains the paperwork for the state fair. The procedure is very similar to what you did for the Boonville Fair. You will go online and register your project. This time you must use the state fair book. This is what's inside your folder. The state fair numbers and classes and everything is different than the Boonville Fair, so you do not use the same ones that you did for Boonville Fair. You have to look in the fair book and look up the class numbers again. Read over the Boonville Fair judge's comments and make any adjustments to your project. So if you need to touch anything up, or your judge said, oh, I think you should do a little bit this and I think it'll be better for the state fair, then that's what you do, and you have that opportunity to do it now. You need to remove all the Boonville Fair paperwork and ribbons off your state fair project. It cannot have any Boonville Fair paperwork on it when it goes to the state fair. Inside your folder, you're going to find green state fair cards. You're going to handwrite the information required on that, and you're going to complete the exhibitor's statement. All of this is found in your folder. Remember, when completing the exhibitor's statement, that the more information you supply, the better your chance for getting a better place setting. This is the only opportunity that the judge has to hear from you about your project. There is no face-to-face interview for the state fair, so what you write down is very important. If they ask you a question such as, what did I learn about this project? You can't say, I learned how to paint. You need to be more elaborate. You need to say, I learned how to use a specific brush to do a specific stroke, or I learned how to do shading with my pastels. Anything that can make the project be more exciting, informative, alive, educational, will help you in getting a better score on your project. When the project is ready, you're going to bring it to the office. We will transport them to and from the state fair. Make sure your paperwork is securely attached and the item is ready to be displayed. Again, there should be no Boonville Fair paperwork on it. Now you need to attach the state fair paperwork. You need to put it on with string, a paper clip, or a tape it on, however you want it on there, but you have to have your paperwork attached. Okay, you can pick up your state fair projects at CCE 1 week after the end of the state fair. Again, we're going to transport them up to the fair and we're going to bring them back for you. If you go up to the state fair to see your project, remember that projects are judged at different times. So when you go up, it may not have been judged yet. Projects are judged on a rotation basis that we have no control over, and we really don't know what the schedule is. Guaranteed your project will eventually get judged, but we just don't know exactly when. Under no circumstances, never, ever, 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 ever should any item be removed from the state fair booth. I don't want you taking anything out, your family, your friends, your neighbors. Nobody should take anything out of that booth. A missing item creates havoc as all the counties start looking for an item that is missing. We're not sure what happened to it. Did somebody take it? Did it just get put into the wrong booth after judging? We keep track of these things, and when something is missing, we take it very, very seriously and we start looking for it. If you take something and you don't tell anybody, it sends everybody into a panic mode. Okay, also never send anything valuable up to the state fair or the Boonville Fair. We cannot be responsible for missing or broken items. So don't send anything that you have sentimental attachment to or has great monetary value. We cannot be responsible for these things. Volunteers are needed for both the Boonville and the State Fair. We are always seeking volunteers to assist with activities before, after, and even during the fairs. We need help organizing paperwork, counting supplies, setting up displays. The night of Boonville Fair judging, I need runners and adults to help in the ribbon room. So if you're coming to have a project evaluated and you want to learn a little bit more about what's going on, go online and register to be a helper that day. I can definitely use you. You don't have to have experience. It's easy. We can train you. I've got some experienced youth there that can just take you by the hand and show you exactly what needs to be done. At the state fair, there are opportunities for teens to work in the youth building. Watch on the move or contact the office if you have any questions or for more information about how you can volunteer to help with the fairs. Youth who submit projects will receive one of the following awards. If an item is selected to go to the state fair, you're going to get purple. First place is blue, second place is red. Clover buds will all receive the same ribbon. Remember, clover buds are not evaluated and judged the same way as the older youth, therefore they all receive the same ribbon. We also have white ribbons, and those ribbons will be awarded to those youth who do not follow the guidelines when they are submitting a project. For example, if you submit artwork and it is not signed, you are going to get a white ribbon. If you submit photography and it's under glass, the guidelines clearly state that photography may not be submitted framed and under glass. You're going to get a white ribbon. So failure to follow the guidelines will severely diminish the ribbon award that you are receiving at the fair. So please, please, please follow those guidelines. I hope this presentation has helped you with determining the requirements for the fair, how to select projects, and what projects can be submitted. You're more confident in reading the fair book. You now know how to log your projects in online and what to expect the day of judging. You know when to pick up your projects. You also know how to enter things into the state fair, and you have a little bit of an understanding on the ribbons. If you have any further questions, please feel free to give the office a call at 315-736-3394, and my extension is 105. And please, please, please call at least a week before the deadline. That way we can iron out any problems that may arise. Thanks, and have a great day.